Welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
A very happy Thursday morning to you. Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage, live right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, a clear choice for Edmonton sports. Thank you to everyone for listening across the Edmonton Sports Talk audio streams, edmontonsportstalk.com, tune in, iHeartRadio for those watching on YouTube and those listening on podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. We greatly appreciate it. It's going to be a fun show today. Lots to get to. We've got, there is an Oilers game tonight, but really it's also the start of March Madness. The madness begins. 16 games today, 16 games tomorrow, 8 games on Saturday, 8 games on Sunday. It's all underway. Matt Iwanyk with you here, and joining us today, we got Paul Sir from 3x3 Basketball Association back in the Hangout again, and Marc Majeau, MCTV podcast. He's with us here again today. He's in his Michigan colors.
Oh yeah,
no
Homer, absolutely.
No Iowa colors over coming from that side of the room.
I'm far too mature to do that. So
I didn't even wear any of my Duke colors. As you guys know,
you're a Dookie.
I go for the team everyone loves.
yeah.
No one
fair.
hates Duke.
No, not at all.
No.
I don't even know when Duke plays. I don't know if it's today or tomorrow.
I know Michigan's tonight at 5, but that's not what you asked.
Duke's at 12:50.
12:50 today. Okay.
Well, I have Michigan going Final Four.
Yeah, okay.
I'll say I have them going to the championship, losing to Duke.
Is this not one of the best 4-day stretches in the sports calendar, though? Like the opening 2 rounds of tournament, you don't need to be a basketball junkie or fanatic to appreciate just the spectacle and awe of having high stakes games on for basically 12 hours a day for the next 4 days. Like, it's amazing.
one and done.
Yeah.
It's an incredible format to get 68 teams, 68 men's teams, 68 women's teams, get them moved around, put in their spots, and then they're flying everywhere. The bands, the fans, everything. It's a remarkable. You're absolutely right, Mark. It is. Well, I mean, being a basketball guy, this is like going to Easter Mass at the Vatican for a Catholic with the Pope. So
of course,
so it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's just there's fun. There's the heartbreak. There's the joy. There's going to be some sort of upset today.
Yep.
At some point, there's a chance that over the next 2 days we're going to see a buzzer beater that's going to shock us, and just watching those moments. It's great. And they've staggered it well over the years now. We get that one little break between like 4 o'clock or something where we're without games for like half hour and everyone's like, what do we do with ourselves? Like,
that's right.
Where's the game? Or it's a perfect time to drive home.
Drive home, get the nachos refilled,
But it's just a blast. And I remember really noticing it last year because I remember talking to you about it. Also just how it's almost basketball more to its essence, where there's like plays being run and they're designed, and you're watching how they like what they've drawn up, as opposed to, the NBA is not like that anymore. It's a lot more free flowing. I don't know. I like the organization on the court sometimes.
It is the last link to historical basketball from the standpoint of they have not gone away from what makes the NCAA unique. They have the narrow key, a 30-second shot clock. They didn't succumb yet to the 24-second. And to your point, Matt, like we did touch on before, is you see different teams with different styles running different things, where international basketball in the NBA is pretty much formulaic. Pick and roll, get to the middle, kick it out, threes and layups. The analytics nerds who I loathe have have everybody convinced that's the way to play, although Shea is changing people's mindsets now. But no, I agree with you. And we have one matchup today that I think embodies that to its fullest. Or not today, it's tomorrow. It's University of Northern Iowa. I'm an Iowa homer. I should have my Hawkeye, but I see there's 3 Iowa teams in this.
Yeah.
So I can't pick colors. But what makes
well, you need a hat for one, a shirt for the other,
there you go.
And some pants for the other, and then you've got the 3 covered.
And I'd be that total guy, that old guy walking around in team color. So that would really be bad. But UNI is in the country. They have the fewest possessions, one of the best defensive averages, and the lowest turnover rate, playing against Rick Pitino's St. John's, which is up-tempo athletic. So it is your quintessential March Madness matchup of a less talented UNI team against a physically much more gifted team, total coaching style differences, and playing style differences in the NIL era where we can watch and say, how is this clash of wills going to work out? That's what I love about it.
The Johnnies have been really fascinating over the last couple of years. Since Pitino got there, they've taken kind of almost the East Coast by storm.
They have.
I consume a lot of New York media, whether it's radio or TV, and the Johnnies are like a top 3 or 4 team in that market right now.
Really?
So like New Yorkers are behind St. John's. They were disappointed what happened last year. And to have a really tough matchup like that right away, it's going to be quite a test for that team and that fan base to see how they handle that.
Well, if they lose, you know how they'll handle it. So that in New York, you know that's a given. But you're right about their impact in the city. My daughter-in-law and her dad was out visiting them when they were living in New York, and they went to a Johnny's game at Madison Square. Place was packed.
Yeah.
And just going nuts, for a college basketball team in that very, very unique market, sports market, one of the great sports markets in the world. So you're right. And having a flashy guy like Pitino with his interesting past, putting it that way, I mean, they really have made an impact.
I feel like Pitino to the Johnnies has really kind of summed up the NIL era for basketball, right? Like that guy going to that market, knowing what he can spend or what he can do. It's almost like made straight for TV, that entire situation.
I forget who the guy was, but he was an assistant coach for one of the major blue blood teams. And he said, at least now we can do this out in the open. It's not shoe boxes under benches, filled with cash. But because I was joking the other day about you think back to the days of the Fab Five. Yeah. They were all driving Mercedes.
Yep.
They weren't getting that off the scholarship. So, and I've got personal stories of seeing guys that are pulling up in BMWs while everybody else is starving going to the cafeteria. They're living in a beachfront apartment with a BMW out front. So
it is the Wild West.
Which is why Reggie Bush should get his Heisman back if he hasn't gotten it back already.
When you think about some of the other stuff that has gone on, just give the man his trophy, please.
His mom got an Escalator, whatever it was. Kate, that's cool now.
Seems kind of tame now, to be honest. Too.
The guy's an underpaid player.
Well, I'll go a step further. Rick Majeris, the Hall of Fame coach from the University of Utah, rest his soul, was investigated by the NCAA for buying his team pizza after a practice.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, seriously. No, there have been suspensions for things like that in the past, in the puritanical era, which is now, let's just throw that all out the window and blow everything. JUCO, that won't count for anything. Just play JUCO. Transfer anywhere, anytime. 4 schools, 4 years, great. Pay them money, sure. If you were abducted by the aliens, Marc, and they took you away 10 years ago and dropped you back down, and you were a basketball guy, you go, what planet am I on? Yeah. This isn't real.
No, it is so strange. And getting into the transfer window, just the transfers that happen. Do you know how many players from the Big Ten graduated from the same school after 4 years this season?
Wasn't it 1?
I believe there was 1, I think 22 overall in the entire NCAA.
Jeez.
Yeah, 1 in the Big Ten, 22 overall.
So
in athletics and all that.
Yeah. So like, where do you, if you're one of those students, what do you like? Who are your people? Like, what school do you represent? What alumni are you? Like, it's not.
You're all of them to a degree, but
like, do you just have a closet full of all the free swag you've gotten at all your 4 stops? Like, I don't know how we're going to fix that, but that number is extremely staggering when you think about where it started and where it's gone.
Well, and that ties into, there's a lot of philosophical hand-wringing going on right now, and a couple of the bellwether voices that aren't opposed to it, that are taking full advantage of it, but are clarion in terms of how they are talking about this, are John Calipari, again, guy with 2 national championships removed. Like you've got guys, old school guys, Tony Bennett, great coach from Virginia, won a national championship, quit. Because he said, I just can't deal with this. Yeah. And
Nick Saban quit from football.
Nick Saban from football. That's right. Huge. That's the biggest of them all. But it's like the other voices are coming out and saying, this is not sustainable. Ohio State, they get 106,000 people at every football game.
Yeah.
Their athletics department lost $37 million last year. With that kind of revenue being generated from fan attendance, from all the TV revenues, NIL because they got to pay their players so much. It's just,
And that's a conference that is going to boom in the NIL. We just saw it with Indiana in football.
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
A program out of nowhere that is now national champs, undefeated.
Yes.
If you look at where the alumni with the most money come from, it's the Big Ten Conference.
Yep.
Yep.
And those now rich pockets are going, we could influence our sports. We could go buy ourselves a championship. Let's get going. And the rest can't compete. But if you're Ohio State, well, now you got the Indianas to worry. You only had to worry about Michigan before, largely. Now you got
Absolutely.
Indiana, and you still got these other schools, and it's like, what are they going to start doing to balance? So we got to keep spending, because if we don't, we're going to lose our gravy train, which is the football team too, and you can't have that.
It's a great point. Indiana to me was interesting because if there is a case on the positive side, if you're going to put positive, negative, I thought Indiana was positive because so many of their players were not in that 7-figure range.
Yeah.
They were 3-star, 6-figure guys that were older, upperclassmen. That was such a masterful, that was such an easy team to like and get behind for me, if you're not from Michigan. Of
course.
But
I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan, so I'm a little.
oh, okay.
That one
so
hurt
you go
because we lost.
there again. Like they probably have like busloads of players that were suspended or whatever. But the
We had
reputation-
we had a $4 million quarterback this past year.
yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who talked about not going to class?
Okay, that came out, and so that was misunderstood for
Was
people.
it?
Yeah. So
I bet it was,
Okay,
Matt.
I'll
Sure.
explain this one.
Okay.
So Carson Beck had graduated with Georgia, went to Miami, was taking classes, but because it's in January they're playing, he didn't enroll for the spring classes because he's going to the NFL now. That was that's where people misconstrued that one. I'm going to defend Carson Beck's. No, did he try in classes? I'm not going to defend that.
But then to also,
that was part of.
But then to jump over to something else though
yeah,
too.
sure, Matt. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I think you're right. Media jumped that.
You have the quarterback from Ole Miss dying to stay in college.
For 7th year.
Yeah, he just wants to stick around because
Well,
yeah,
He can make more money now,
yeah.
too.
Well, here's the slippery slope, though, guys. When they go now that the doors have been swung open, when they go now and say, why should we be restricted to this number of years? Like, why should we? What you start asking those questions, and there's no reasonable answer. And the NCAA has shown they just want to settle lawsuits. They don't want to fight them.
Yeah.
And they're kind of caving on virtually everything. I mean, you got guys playing in the G League wanting to play. I mean, you're going to start. They're going to start asking some serious questions that legally are going to be interesting to see how the judicial system will fall on them, on whether the present system, as it's whatever it is now, can that stay, or do they have to keep adjusting it?
the players have more freedom than the coaches in the NCAA, right? You can jump wherever you want to go. And it's, yes, you're right. The bubble is going to burst eventually. And I feel like it's going to happen sooner rather than later.
I agree.
Just don't know exactly when, but just enjoy it while we can.
Well, and there's positive aspects to it. Should kids be paid for their NIL, their name, image, and likeness being used, which in the past filled the coffers, was part of the reason why the coffers were filled in a lot of these major programs? Yeah, absolutely. But like Calipari and Patino have both come out and said, set a salary cap. Mm-hmm. But they're going to just cheat on that.
But that's Steve Sarkisian, head coach of the Texas football team, says there's a salary cap, at least for football, but no one follows it.
Yeah.
Like that's no one's watching over this. No one's saying, he said there is a salary cap, but
Wow.
everyone's paying over it. And that's the thing. Like the players should be able to get paid, as you said. Like I remember there was a Troy Smith in the Ohio State Buckeyes. A bunch of players got suspended.
Was it the tattoos?
Because they got tattoos.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what are we doing here? Like they're getting tattoos. You're not paying them. Let them go get free tattoos at the very least, if that's what they want. If somebody wants to give them free tattoos, let them do it. Mm-hmm. I remember reading a great article where it's like if you're at the NCAA and you're not in athletics, you can go get a side job in your field and you wouldn't lose your scholarship. But in athletics, you lose your scholarship if you go get paid somewhere. Like it was just a very mixed messages. But then like a coach would leave and a player is stuck at his school.
Yeah.
Right. And then the next coach comes in, doesn't care for them, and it's like, okay, well, if you want to leave, you have to sit out for a year. But also, you can't go here, 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 or here. Also, this conference you can't go to, so you could go over there. But yeah, sit out a year. So that couldn't happen. That needed to change. Mm-hmm. But now it's swung completely the other way. And there's got to be a pendulum swing back to where at some point soon to what the system should be. And I don't know what that system is.
In the past, the NCAA was always extremely measured in making any adjustments or changes. It took usually years to make minor adjustments. When my son Steve played in the NCAA, he transferred from San Diego State to Northern Arizona. There were 2 appeals that were filed with the NCAA on his eligibility, and both were won after 3 appeals. Both cases, they had to be appealed 3 times to win, which would now not even be considerations, without going into the details. So I think, to your point, here's the problem, though, and this is what shocks me the most about what's taken place, is that unlike the past, where it was very methodical and thought through, painstakingly so, unfairly so many of the times, and the outcomes were usually minuscule. Now it's just like, what the hell? Throw the doors open, or go at it, everybody. Let the bison stampede through the town. And that's what shocked me, because now, how do you herd the cats back into the corral?
Yeah.
To get that pendulum to swing back, is it even possible? My perspective is, I don't think it is. I think the doors are open. I think you got what you got now.
This is maybe extreme, but do you ever think we'll get to a point where, I'll just use Alabama as an example. What if they just form Alabama LLC and they pay a licensing fee to Crimson Tide to use their facility and use their logo, but it just becomes a business, it just becomes a pro team?
Utah's doing that.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah,
So,
Utah's already done that.
So is that what the future potentially kind of looks like? Just saying we're at an actual business now who just leases the logo, all that kind of stuff, and we're not even going to pretend to be amateur athletics anymore.
That's exactly where it's going.
Yeah.
Here's what I'd love to get your opinion on, guys. What concerns me, there's all kinds of concerns that go with it, but a couple that jump to the top of my list are the influence on young people, because now you hear about junior high kids getting NIL money. So that
the scouting's a lot lower. The agents, are
switching.
They're looking
schools.
for who's the next kid that I can go get money from.
Yeah, switching schools, high school. I mean, I remember, again, I'll use Steve as a reference point. He played his grade 12 year in St. Paul, Minnesota, and played in the state tournament against a team that eventually won it. But they had a kid who was a D1 kid who had played in 4 high schools then in 4 years. And this is 25 years ago. But now loyalty, character, now it's just, is it a big part of this is going to be, where can I get the most money now? So I'm going to just jump school to school to get money. Like you said, building affinity. A big part of the benefit that you get when you play in a Division I program is when you graduate, you've got that alumni behind you, helping you on your career path, supporting you in many cases, not all. But that's all if you're if you're a gun for hire. So what are your thoughts about the impact societally, if that's a word, of this kind of wide open free for all? Does it really matter? A lot of people say it doesn't really matter. It is a business. It always was. It just pretended it wasn't. So now it is. And so we got to just run with it.
Well, I think it's gonna take away some traditions if it's gonna go where I think it's gonna go, and that's gonna hurt people. And this might help stop certain things. Like, there is no reason USC volleyball should be traveling to Michigan in February. There's no reason that they're not
the big,
rivals.
The
You're
Big
not
22. I mean, Big 10.
Exactly. Like that. There's no reason for this. And I think it was Chip Kelly that broke this down. And I wonder if there's a day where, because I think they think this will actually have to come down to government. I think one day the government's going to have to step in and go, no, we got it. This is, and it has happened. There was a committee just a couple weeks ago.
Wait, could you call it a committee though?
Yeah, it's a great point. But I like, there has to be a legit sit down of, okay, this is getting a little outrageous. This is, how do we fix this? How do we go back to what we care about? And I think part of this is Chip Kelly said, you take football, you take it away. Football becomes its own thing. It's not part of NCAA. You set the NCAA back. Maybe basketball, I don't know where they fit in this. Because I don't feel like basketball, and maybe I'm not following close enough, is as crazy as we've seen with football so far. In terms of the players constantly moving. And then
it is. It absolutely
it
is.
It
It absolutely is.
But then, so maybe they're separate too. And then all the everything else, we're just back to normal NCAA. Let's bring back the regionalism of this. USC, you're traveling to Seattle, take on the Huskies for volleyball. You're going to staying out west. When we get to nationals, that's when you play the country. But we don't need a Big Ten that spans the country. You don't need an SEC that spans, like the ACC has Stanford.
Oh, I know.
Like, why is Miami heading to Stanford to play? It's the Atlantic Coast Conference.
I know.
I didn't know the Atlantic Coast was on the West Coast. Like,
I know.
None of that makes sense. So I think there's going to have to be a government step in, because part of this too is like, I can't remember what school it is, but there's been a school that has gone from Div 1 to Div 3. They've announced recently going, we can't afford to be in Div 1. We can't compete. We're not eligible for this. We're not going to be able to sustain this. We're dropping to Div 3.
Yes.
And how many more schools? And then football, it's not like this, because there's the top schools and no one cares about the lower schools. Basketball, we've got a March Madness where there's 68 teams, where most of these teams no one knows of. What if they stop saying, I can't play Div 1? How does that impact our March Madness? We say these are some of the best sporting days of the year. Mm-hmm. This is, I think March Madness is the big one. If schools start bowing out, or conferences start saying, we can't compete in this other one, does that cause the government to really step in? Because March Madness is going to have to change, as we know. We don't care that college football playoffs have changed.
Yeah.
We've been calling for it. No one wants this one to change.
Nobody does. And what I really don't want to see happen is what they've been talking about lately, about making the draw even bigger, which I think would be just, that would kill it.
Yep.
But a couple of things. Here's my asterisk to what you just said, Matt, is this just the natural progression of where this is going to go, even if the government tries to step in? And again, the realignments have taken place for financial reasons. The Pac-12 became the Pac-2.
Yeah.
Back up to 8.
Now it's up to 8. That's good.
We're up to, they have 8 football programs, and they have Gonzaga
Yep.
to be 9.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Washington State Cougars, I follow them closely, so I'm very aware of the Pac-8.
But the Pac-8 was the original league.
Yeah.
8, 10, 12. That's how it went. Lou Alcindor, it was the Pac-8.
Wow.
So, yeah, old guys know all kinds of useless crap. But I think the asterisk to me is, how are you going to be able to reverse this? And D1 programs going to D3, I think it will happen. But then you're going to also have, like a school I'm very familiar with, St. Thomas University in St. Paul, Minnesota. They've gone from D3 to D1.
Oh, really?
But that's because they have one of the great business schools in the country with unbelievable amounts of rich alumni who have propped it up. And they're very competitive in it's the Summit Conference with North Dakota and South Dakota, that group. In fact, they finished second this year after 3 years. They went from D3, and now they won 24 games in their third year in D1.
Wow.
So, I mean,
So there might be the reverse to this too.
There's going to be a realignment. The league stuff really boggles my mind, like why you see the advantage other than TV revenues, which has got to be the only reason why everybody moved. I don't see the problem myself with USC flying to Michigan. Other than, are you talking rivalry or just hot to cold, or what?
I think Matt's point is, for football, sure, right? Because that's
Football it's a beast. Let's see that.
Yeah.
Basketball, even, it's a beast. It's the other programs.
Yeah.
It's all the lower programs that, like the NCAA was regionalism. You stuck in your regions, and then we would go to nationals, and you play everybody.
Pac-12 was
it's in Canada. We've got U Sport, Canada West, and then you got your Ontario, you got your Quebecs. The nationals come, and we have them all meet. I don't see, because there's the other schools also don't make money. So there's a financial impact of, why are we sending a team from LA all the way to, Ann Arbor for a volleyball game, a conference volleyball game. This NCAA, it was regionalism. There's a reason they were all broken up the way that they were. And so now, because of football and because of basketball, it's the volleyballs, it's the tennis, it's all those that now they have to travel the exact same distances, but they don't make the money. And so now, that to me is where it's like, if we took football and basketball and took them out and said, you guys are just now, here's the SEC, the Big Ten, you run it, you guys do whatever you like, we're going to move you separate. But NCAA is going to come back. We're going to put all the schools back into not get rid of these
So
programs.
it's like a super conference.
But we're just going to have super conferences for the other two, and everyone else we're just going to go back to what it was.
My only counter to that, and this is one of the reasons why you see a deficit like Ohio State had, it's not just what they pay out, it's what they take in and what they have to spend on non-revenue generating programs. That's a big part of this too, is the equity across the platform for teams to be able to compete requires a lot of money to be, a lot of programs to be heavily subsidized by the big programs.
Yeah, but now you're also spending now more on those other programs for just travel. When if you
That's
go
fair.
back, so like I'll just keep using USC for an example here. I could say, okay, well, I have to spend X more on flights because we have to fly further. I have to, hotels are going to be the same cost, or whatever. Instead, I could take that money because now we only are staying out west, and I could invest more in the weight room for the volleyball team. Or I could invest more directly into the players here as opposed to now these flights that we have to go do when we don't, because I only have so much budget. And if I spend more, then the football team's going to have to subsidize me even more. And that's where, I've seen there was I can't remember which school, there was the full breakdown of what this one school, what program made. And it was football's big profit, basketball's profit. Everyone else is losing money.
Yeah.
Those pay for everything else.
They do.
But then we're now forcing those other programs to spend more because they have to travel more.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword. You separate them. Do you still take their money and fund these, or do these programs?
I think you still do that. There's got to be a way.
But what you're saying is it should be less then, because if it's more regional.
It's the same, like hockey does not follow the same conferences that football does or basketball, right?
Yep.
You could do that with football then.
Totally agree.
That's all these other programs could
Totally
still be our conferences that we know and love. But then when it comes to football, it could be like hockey. We have different conferences for that one.
And I think the inevitability of super conferences, it's already here. Yeah. It's already here. It's just, how can you have a functional conference with, with the Big 10, Big 12? Like, how do you have functional conferences with all these teams in there trying to set up interesting schedules? Like, I just don't know how how you fix that Rubik's Cube.
It's the kind of thing that you wish you could just hit pause for a whole year to figure everything out. You really can't do that. You don't want to do that, but it would really be helpful if you could just...
Everyone, let's take a breath.
Yeah, let's just pause. Let's figure everything out.
I thought they were going to do that.
Yeah.
When this all started, I thought they would be more measured. That's what shocked me the most. It's like, what the heck? Just transfer everywhere. JUCO, don't count. Like I was saying before, just like, why are we doing this stuff? Let's do all of it at the same time.
Too many people got past that. They just said, come into the concert, everyone. Like,
that's right.
Yeah. Security guards having to smoke. Everyone rush in as quickly as you possibly can.
I'm not dealing with this one.
Yeah.
That's right. You guys figure it out.
Yeah, out of sight, out of mind.
That's right.
See, I'm fascinated because I follow college football throughout the year a lot closer than college basketball.
Yep.
I do try to follow college basketball as best I can. I am fascinated to see how March Madness, though, is affected by NLL over these years. Do we see less upsets? Do we see more upsets? Are we just going to see top programs just constantly keep building things? Because we had the one and dones for a while. That was the big thing. Dukes and Kentuckys would just get the one players quickly, try to build a super team for a year. Didn't really work. Those players would then go to the NBA and stuff. Like Kentucky and Duke didn't just run away with a bunch of titles for a number of years. But now what's going to happen are we just going to see these programs? Okay, well, we're going to get a couple one and dones, but we're going to supplement. These players were good this year, so we're going to bring them into our program, pay for them. And are these like I'm more because I'm trying to remember. Was it last year, 2 years ago? March Madness was very light on upsets.
It was basically chalk, right?
Yeah,
basically, yeah. And that's when we fill out our brackets. We do it to win. We do it to have fun, but to Matt's point, I could see just getting incredibly top heavy. And last year, I think we had 4 1s in the Final Four.
You did?
It was last year.
So
it wasn't a lot of upsets.
Five upsets.
Wow.
In it last year. 5 lower seeds.
That's where I look at this year and I see a top heavy group.
Totally.
There's Duke, there's Houston, there's Florida, there's Michigan, there's Arizona. Then there's the next group and stuff. But if we have 4 number ones or 3 number ones again in the Final Four with a number 2. Is this a trend? Are we now starting to see where March Madness is going? And is that something we want?
It's not what we want, but it's what we've got. And I think that kind of ties in back to your comment about the super conference concept. That might change March Madness. We might have to have, similar to football, you might have to tier it differently at some point because it is going to be harder. Like, I was thinking about this, and I really should get AI to help me with a graphic of what the ecosystem of basketball looks like now. Because you've got your blue blood programs and you've got your middle tier programs that still have some money, and then you have your lower tier. And this is just Division I. You've got D2 athletes, a la Sturts from Iowa, D2 kid, who's now going to be a first-round draft pick because he went from D2 to Drake to Iowa. And for him, that's going to be great because he had that opportunity. But you're seeing that happen now more and more. NAIA players coming in, JUCO players coming in. It's hurting high school players from recruiting. If you're not a blue blood high school player, you're going to be playing JUCO or D2, D3 to try to find your way up into the system. Canadian players are being pulled from youth sports programs now down to the first time we've seen north-south. It was always south-north. Kids go down, get disillusioned, come back and play in youth sports. But that's happening differently now. Some of the better players are going south. So you've got, again, that free-for-all that's really changing the way people are recruited based on how much you've paid, based on experience. It also provides incredible opportunities for kids. You're a youth sports player playing in Winnipeg, and I forget the young man's name. He's at a D1 school now, having a great experience for all intents and purposes. That wouldn't have happened before. So we're figuring it out as we go along here, but where it will definitely have effect. When I went through the brackets, in my opinion, my bracket will be shattered, but probably is already.
By the end of the show.
So yeah, that's right. But I look at it and I go, who really has a shot at upset? Like, Virginia Tech, they have a shot today. UNI, I don't think they really have a shot, but it's going to be intriguing to see if they can capture that magic like they did 15 years ago against Kansas when they hit the winning shot in the first round. Yeah. So, those are the kind of things that are happening. But that the complexity of the ecosystem is really hard. Like I said, the cats are out of the corral now. And I just don't know how you get them back in. It's going to have to kind of organically reshape itself is the way I see it.
Well, I like how you mentioned what's happening in Canada West as well, too, because this isn't just happening down south, right? It is slowly starting to happen up here, even just with, like, I call Golden Bears and Pandas basketball games, and there are some teams in Canada West that, putting it politely, struggle against the top half of those teams, and they maybe shouldn't be in that conference. But also, to your point, I remember a couple years ago, Victoria lost, I want to say, a handful of guys down south. Now, didn't really seem to slow them down. They found a way to reload quickly, but this is not just a thing in the U.S. It's starting to come up here. In hockey, the Golden Bears did kind of struggle this year.
They got decimated a bit. I think it was 4 players went to the NCAA.
Yeah, and that's, imagine telling someone, a Golden Bear lifer, 20 years ago that was going to happen, right? Like
Bob Stafford lose his mind.
Yeah, they were. I think he is losing his mind. Like, they were locks.
I thought I saw Bob on the bridge. I was driving over. I felt for him.
But like, you could see, but they were a lock for Canada West championships, and that's not the case anymore.
It isn't, and it's not all bad. Where I think Canada youth sports struggles, like they really struggle anyway, but that Canada West conference is a mess. Of haves and have-nots, of little programs in small communities with no real talent pool in their general region and no budgets to go out and bring kids in. You still have to sit out a year. Like they've got to, well, I've always believed this, but I don't mean to sound overly critical. It's just like, it's kind of like this irreverent American here. It's kind of like what I've watched with the CFL is you got to move faster.
Yeah.
You can't just lollygag along and think everything's just going to work out. It's not. You've got to be more mindful of where you're at in the world that you're in and do something faster to be competitive. Yeah. You want to keep kids in Canada? Make it worth their while to stay in Canada. You don't have to pay them a ton of money. Give them the full scholarships, though, and make them feel welcome, and you're going to have to find a way. Instead of sitting out a whole year, maybe you sit out half a year.
Yeah. That
sort of thing. Like the adjustments have to be made, and you see it firsthand.
Yeah.
You see these teams coming in from the hinterlands, and they're not very good. And and in the meanwhile, you've got really good teams not playing each other.
Yeah, that's
the big problem.
That's the scheduling thing, right? For basketball in particular, right? We get 10 home weekends or 5 home weekends per year, 10 games. And I'd love to see Alberta play Calgary more. I'd love to see them play UBC regularly. Let's see them play Victoria, and we don't really quite get to see that. And to the talent pool too, there is 3 schools in Manitoba. There's clearly one at the top, one in the middle, and one below. How is the one below ever going to find talent if you can go up to the 2 other schools? Calgary is the same, right? If you're a talented player in Southern Alberta, the Calgary is going to get all the talent. So it's tricky to navigate.
Level the playing field, though, and allow programs to have an equal shot in terms of what they can offer people, and then build your program. That's how I see it. I always think, because you're right. You're right. You built in systemic dominance by the way it's structured right now. When I'm listening to you, Marc, and you're saying, I'd like to see University of Alberta play Calgary more, or UBC. Duh. Yeah. You want to go to, all due respect, UNBC and play a terrible basketball team in the middle of nowhere, whereas UNBC and a lot of these teams, they could have that second tier, build themselves up on their merits. Yeah. But stop this. We're going to be egalitarian, equality for all, and have a crappy schedule. And by the way, you take a month off to take exams. Are you kidding me? You got to take a month away from a basketball season in the middle of the season because you got to take some tests? Like, that is so stupid. I'm sorry. That is just ludicrously strange. Harvard takes tests and they still play basketball.
Yeah, and they're
I think
smart.
We can do it. Stanford can do it. We can do it.
Yeah, it's basically the Canada West schedules. You go till the end of November, and then you're basically off till the middle of January.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
It's a long break.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate quickly here on the talent pool, though. Like, I'll use Iowa. There's a couple schools in Iowa that are the top programs, and there's other schools. What's the difference? In the States, like there's other schools in the state of Michigan, but there's Michigan State, and then there's everyone else.
Right.
Why is it why do we need to have it all equal?
Well, you don't have to have it. Okay. If you throw NIL into it, there is no equality. If the University of Iowa and Iowa State have the most wealthy alumni and they can find revenue sources that UNI and Drake can't. But it's actually a great comparison because Iowa has fewer people than Alberta, and they've got 4 Division I schools.
Wow.
So they've got committed alumni, committed communities that are willing to go out there and compete. Drake had 2 30-win seasons the last 2 years, and they took a drop-off this year because their coaches went to Indiana and the University of Iowa. So because they hustled. And here's my Canadian example. Phil Allen, the late great Phil Allen, just winningest coach in CCAA history, Hall of Fame, went out to Lakeland in Lloydminster, and in his first year won like 28 games. Now, he hustled, he worked hard, he sold, and he found a way to bring players in creatively, and by creatively I mean U.S., different markets, but he hustled. That's what I don't see. Yeah. You got to hustle. Like now, University of Alberta, the Golden Bear hockey program, now that the NCAA has opened up, a lot of kids are going to go south. God bless them. They want that experience. Go down there, play in front of thousands of people. They just showed a great picture of the Minnesota high school hockey tournament.
Oh, yeah.
19,000 people at a high school hockey tournament.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Just, you got to get after it. I go to the University of Alberta. I walk in to go to a game. You got 2 students on their phones taking tickets. You walk into the game. There's no cheerleaders. There's no band. 400 or 500 people sitting in the stands for a university of 35 to 40,000 people with one of the great sports programs in the country. The school has to put more effort and say, this is important to our image and our fans, that we're going to make this exciting dynamic and support it. That, again, I'm sounding harsh, and I am. That shouldn't be. It's more important than that, in my opinion. And you have to walk the walk and say this is important. So, sorry, I went on a diatribe there, Matt.
No, that's fine. Well, it's like I love, and Jeff Krashel's text me. He loves this conversation. He'd be perfect for this conversation. He has a question, which I'll get to right away. Yeah. But it's like I don't ever want U Sports to get to the same business that the NCAA is. Like, I don't want it to boom that way. But I do want it to be more important. I do want more attention, and I do look at our two TV networks. And I go,
oh my God,
we have zero coverage. Like, we don't even. The Sports Center was just on.
Well, they only have 12 channels before that. You give them a break, man. I mean, how can they cover U Sports when they only have 12 channels that they show the same programs on?
And the other 3 are blacked out.
And the other 3 are blacked out.
And it's like to say, I know, and I don't know. Like, I love Dave Naylor. I love Farhan Lalji. They don't make these calls necessarily, but they were. I think Farhan or something. He's at the national championship for college football, but no one's at Vanier Cup. Like, covering our national football championship. And it's like, where's those stories? And part of it is, when you're ESPN or Fox or any other sports networks down there, your subscription base is 300 million people. It's a lot easier to have money roll in. Here, we're only 40 million people. So there is only so much money TSN and Sportsnet do have to spend. And we've seen all the cuts, been part of the cuts. But if TV, and this is the same problem I have with the CFL too, with them, if TV doesn't talk with them, no one's going to care. It's not important then. We talk about, like, the TSN's all over March Madness, yet we just had our national championships this past weekend, and there's zero coverage.
Streaming.
It's on CBC Gem, and that's it. But thankfully we have that to cover, because no coverage. Like, I think if you watch SportsCenter, would there have been a mention on who our national champions are in university?
And especially on the women's side, what the Huskies have done over the last 5 years. Yeah, I think what Lisa Tomaitis has done with that program deserves a bit of a spotlight.
Celebration. Yeah. And for God's sakes, this is where I'll pick on our nationally funded TV network that gets billions of flippin' dollars, and you can't cover major sports in a more meaningful way. Like, come on. Like, TSN has 1 million channels. Sportsnet has 1 million channels. You got CBC getting billions of dollars. And this is the best you can do? No, this is an my term is abomination. It is an insult to our athletes.
Yeah, and then this goes even to our Olympic athletes and the funding of Olympic athletes and whether they deserve more and not. And Bruce Arthur from the Toronto Star brought up a great point that, national pride, national sovereignty on the global stage is very important, that it might be worth spending the hundreds of millions of dollars that we might not want right now because we have other problems to deal with, but might be worth spending that, because when our athletes do, like, SGA, is something we're very proud of. Yeah. It brings us, like, the best player in basketball right now.
Exactly.
Is ours.
Yes.
And so, why can't TSN and Sportsnet each have, like, an hour-long show once a week? Here's what's going on in U Sport. Here's what's going on in
CCAA.
The CCAA. I was trying to like, this is what's going on in our levels. We're gonna just do a quick. This is what's happening, and and if anything, like, to me, I think one thing, if I was running CBC, it would be, I would dive fully into that. Let's make sure, and they do a good job with her, on the weekends showing skiing and that type of stuff. But we're gonna make sure we're showing you more U Sport games throughout the year.
Well, I mean,
because we're getting taxpayer dollars. We're gonna give you our athletes, not professional ones. We're gonna give you our athletes that care about the sport.
Isn't this supposed to be the National Unity Network that's doing this, that gets all this money to bring the country together? And you've got low-hanging fruit like university and college sports that you could be broadcasting, as opposed to on Sunday seeing dog surfing sometime, or some nonsense sport that nobody knows about, and you don't give any love or attention to high-profile sports that, like you said, that you celebrate, as we should, for goodness sakes. I've got comments on Canadians in the NBA that maybe we can get to later, but I think that you're absolutely right. I'm sorry, Marc, you were going to say.
Just to the point about the access, I'll bring up the Pandas again. The U of A Pandas had a great season. A disappointing finish, but there was a weekend in the end of January where 4 teams were 10-0 and were playing each other. And neither of those games were the game of the week. Like, that shouldn't happen. That should have been broadcast on CBC Gem when the Huskies came to Alberta.
Was that is the CBC has a game of the week?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, CBC Gem does have a game of the week. And the fact that none of the undefeated teams were a part of that.
What was
something? I forget. It was one playoff team and one of the have-nots. So the fact that
of Canada West?
Of Canada West, yeah. So on a Friday night. Like that's
because what I'll guess has happened there was they built a schedule at the start of the year and then they stick with it. As opposed to
that's how we get stuck with these dud Monday night football games.
Right. But you have College Game Day College Game Day goes, okay, well, they decide each week.
Yeah.
Okay, the weekend just happened. Now they have a lot of money to go do that. It's a lot easier for them. But there's got to be a way. Like the broadcasts are already being done.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of, with all due respect to CBC, a lot of their broadcasts are done remotely.
Yep.
So whether or not they actually, you mean you can't be nimble enough to get cameras?
Take the local feed then.
Yeah, exactly.
Take Doug and Marc on the call because we have a well-done feed.
That's the CEBL too. Like that TSN, went through like lots of gyrations for their game of the week, and they're flying people out and all around, and it's costing the league lots of money. There's good local broadcasters all across the CEBL. They would have been just fine.
Stick with that. Yeah, show that.
At least you're showing stuff then, as opposed to not showing stuff. I want to go back to a point you made earlier about spending the hundreds of millions of dollars. We go to the Winter Olympics, disappointing results for Canada.
Yep.
Duh. And budgets are being cut. What in the world do you expect the outcome is going to be? Like it's so small thinking, and I want to go back to a point you also made, Matt, about nobody wants. I agree with you. Nobody wants to see youth sports become the NCAA. But that has been the attitude since we moved to Canada back in 1987, and we've succeeded at keeping it small. And that's where you've got to find a balance of, so there's an in-between that we can achieve, but you don't have to say, we're not going to be anything because we don't want to be that. Mm-hmm. And that's the feeling I get. And that's why I refer to like walking in, you could not have a less exciting environment than what the University of Alberta has at Golden Bear and Panda Games for two of the best programs in the country with absolutely no effort of any meaningful and with no disrespect to the kids and the people and the support people, but they should put resources into it. And you charge $17 for a ticket to go and sit in a library with nothing going on around it to watch a basketball. It's like watching a basketball game in a library.
And spending 20 minutes trying to park at the Saville Center on a Saturday afternoon.
Gee.
We can do 2 hours on parking.
2 hours on parking at the Saville Center.
You teased a question from Crusher.
Yes.
And that's just been, I'm so curious now.
So he goes, this is a fantastic conversation. You can hear it in Crusher's voice. He's pumped.
Of course.
Can you ask Paul to expand on this ecosystem of sport? Great topic. But for parents and athletes, we're looking to go down that avenue. What a hot mess, at least from my perspective. It'd be great to hear you guys talk about that. And I just asked, and he says, if you're a talented high school kid right now looking to his future, which way does he go? How do you choose, and how do parents navigate that chaos?
Well, Crush, thank you. It is the topic. And in fact, I had a meeting yesterday with someone in the world of funding sport and talking about how counter education has to be offered more visibly to parents and youth across the whole sports spectrum, because capitalism and sport are strange bedfellows, and everybody's talking points are the same. Well, we're just doing it for the kids, if you want to reach your dream, you got to get noticed, so we got to go to the States. That's all crap, to be honest. I was really fascinated by Norway in the Winter Olympics. Now, Norway was smart. They took their oil money.
Yes.
They put it into a big fund. They got $1 trillion in the bank for a country of 6 million people. Wow. And you still pay 60% of your income in taxes. Wow. So it's not like they lightened up when they got oil revenues. But they're successful. They're so successful for a country so small in winter sports. But their model is up to 13, you don't keep score. It's all fun. And certainly if you're exceptional, you get targeted and you start getting resources to develop your talent in particular sports. You go to Serbia, and specifically speaking of basketball, you get guys like Jokic in basketball, but you also get Djokovic in tennis. And I coached a young man named Milos Prijovic who came and played for me at Concordia from Serbia. And we were talking about their system. You start young, you go and practice 5 nights a week. He said he was like 10 years old on a bus, going to practice for 2 hours, 5 nights a week, and he played one game on the weekend. Yeah. Here, you've got kids playing in club, in school, getting, trainers. If you got all this stuff going on, so you got all these different voices and all this money being spent, and most of the kids never have a shot. A lot of them won't even make their high school team. And this is no disrespect to the kids, but it's capitalism. And parents want to fulfill, understandably, their kids' dreams. So what you need to find out is what's it cost, what's the benefit, and what are your options? Most kids will be fine if they go through their school programs and play in a good club. They'll be fine. When Steve was in college, I sent out probably 100 VHS tapes to schools and then called every coach up and sent them emails to try to get a look, because back then you didn't have the system, to get them to come to a tournament to watch him and his teammates play, because they had Jermaine Buckner, who did really well as well, and other great players, Phil Sudol, Joel Allen, on and on. So to Crush's point, parents have to be able to do two things. One, listen to pros and con advice that's well presented and well articulated. But two, try to find a way, and I know this is extremely difficult, as you will find out too, Marc.
Yeah.
When it comes to your kid, you'll do anything for them. And if that's their dream, you want to support it. So I don't fault the parents for wanting to support it. The way they go about it, though, I just think a more measured response, and we're way too carried away with too many games, too much money being spent. Unless that's what you want to do and it's fun and you want to spend the money. But if you think it's going to lead to a scholarship, you can still count on no, it's not that way anymore. But for a long, long time, you could count on one hand how many kids went Division I from Edmonton. That's changing now. We're getting better players. But anyway, long-winded answer. But thanks for the question, Crush. Did that add some clarity in your opinion, Matt?
I think so.
Yeah. Have either of you read The Game by Ken Dryden?
No.
It's a fantastic book. He wrote it during his last season in the NHL, so 79. So that is, 7 years after the Summit Series, which is 72?
Yes. Yeah.
Not a math guy, never claimed to be one. But he writes 45 years ago, what you were just talking about. Ken speaks about how the European model is, we play one game a week, but we practice. Our fundamentals are going to be better. And why it seems like people have been screaming that for the last 45 years, and North America still hasn't adopted that. Is that the capitalism you're talking about, or just
100%.
My drive that my kid's going to be the best, going to do all of that stuff?
Here's the response. That really makes sense, but I'm going to take my kid over there because this guy said he can do this for me. And I'll pay the money to do it. I think, you know what? It's interesting you say that. Back in when I played professionally overseas, 77, 78, that was the system. Yeah. Still is today, with some variations and some layers added to it. A friend of mine organized a league in the Twin Cities, exactly based on the European model, one game a week. Practice, etc. I mean, it's there. I mean, Serbia did everything but beat the Americans they should have beaten the Americans in the Olympics. You know what they did to prepare for the Olympics, as opposed to the Americans with all the social media? Practiced in a gym for 4 weeks. Wow. And had 2 press conferences in 4 weeks. And Jokic was in the gym with everybody for 4 weeks, getting ready. And they did everything, but if it weren't for LeBron's heroics in that, and I say that begrudgingly, but it was
Dusty's
certainly
smiling with a big grin right now.
I know Matt's over there just lapping it up, but if it wasn't for that, they would have won. But I mean, you've got Norway on one hand with have fun until a certain age and you get better, and then we'll go into it. And you've got Serbia on the other hand, which says practice, practice, practice. Your reward is 1 game a week. Mm-hmm. So you've got these two systems, and they both work really well. And in North America, you got capitalism. With, at the center of it, still have school basketball. You still have community league. You've got really good things, and you've got really good clubs in here as well that are really kid-centered, keep the costs down, really work on fundamentals with the kids. So it's...
Tony Kornheiser always says the answer to all the questions is money.
Yeah.
And that's just like in North America, I think that holds more true than anywhere else.
100%.
We're talking for the show, like World Cup
Follow the
ticketing
money, man.
prices
Yeah.
is outrageous for this one. It's not that way. Like when in the past World Cups, and it'll be in the future World Cups, ticket pricing won't be what it is here in North America. But here in North America, we just accept it's going to cost a lot of money. We accept that concerts cost a lot of money and sporting cost a lot of money and all of that. And we don't try to figure it out. Like I had a coffee with Crush this week actually, and he was even just all the organizations across Canada. It's just a mess. Everything's a mess. And that's part of why the Olympics and all that is just, it's just all, we need like almost like a reset, like we're talking about the NCAA.
Yeah.
Canada sports in general might need just like all the federations that we need a reset there to organize things a little bit better. And who's going to be the one that wants to stand up and defend that and fight for that?
The World Cup right around the corner. Mm-hmm. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity for Canada.
Yes.
Is that organization in good shape right now?
It seems like it's moving in a better shape because they have a new CEO in Kevin Blue.
Okay.
But
could you say that a year ago?
I bet if I asked Steve Sandor about that, he'd talk about all the problems that are across the board.
It just seems like they have all this momentum going for them, and yet wasn't there something with their kits for the last World Cup too that just...
We didn't have an agreement with Nike to release new World Cup kits for the last World Cup because they didn't have foresight to think, what if we make the World Cup? And we're the only nation out of 32 that did not have a new kit for that World Cup. When at the World Cup, the history is you get a new soccer kit for the World Cup, and we didn't have one.
And
we do this time, thankfully.
But you want to talk about how many people would have bought a new kit?
I was ready, and then when they found out, I was like, well, I want to give you money.
Yeah.
I have money here. I want to buy a new jersey. Let me give you my money.
Mm-hmm. And I can attest through experiences I've had in the sport of basketball and 3x3 that echo exactly what you're describing there of being unprepared and unfunded and always operating from scarcity instead of surplus. And I go back to me, it's priorities and fear of the moment. It's like, if we commit all this stuff, what bad could happen? So let's just not do it, and we'll react and try to spin our way out of it, is how I perceive sport in Canada oftentimes. Is that what you're referring to, Matt? I totally agree with. That has to start at the national level, at the highest level of vision and expectations, and then putting the money in place with accountabilities that go across the sports spectrum. If you want to be competitive in the Winter Olympics, then you better fund the Winter Olympics to be competitive. And now with basketball, here's a great example. We've got every reason to be hopeful in 2028 with the best player in the world and Jamal Murray, an NBA All-Star, and on and on and on. And that was my commentary on Canadian basketball now, is up until Steve Nash, there were Canadians in the league, but they were role players and bit players. Steve Nash broke the glass ceiling and showed Canadians you can be as good as or better than anybody in the NBA. Now you've got SGA, who is exactly that, showing Canadian kids this is what you can be. And how, but it's how he does it. That's a whole different diatribe. But he does it differently, and he does it the way that there's no shortcuts on. He practices when nobody's looking, as opposed to putting cones out and hyping it and shooting it on Instagram and sending it out to everybody and still sucking. So so going back to that, that's where it's got to start. If you want serious results, you have to have serious intent and serious money.
Yeah.
with high expectations.
There's one thing you told me many, many years ago that every kid wants to be like Steph Curry, but no kid wants to practice like Steph.
That's
No,
exactly.
that's a great.
There's a reason he can hit all those shots.
It's
right?
when nobody's looking. Purposeful, mindful, outcome-driven practice when nobody's looking, not dribbling through cones while juggling a tennis ball. That you never do that in a game.
Yeah.
But you can shoot the right way, game speed, and that's how you're going to become better. That's what SGA does. He goes back to Toronto, gets his buddies in a gym, and he works on his game. And that's why he's mastering the game at unbelievable levels.
I'm sorry to change the subject. Are they the favorites right now, do you think? Is it still the title goes through OKC?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't see Denver being a threat.
Do you think the Spurs maybe have something?
They do.
Are they a little too early, do you think?
It's anybody's guess, but they beat them 3 times.
No, that's the big thing for me is head to head.
They don't match up.
The Spurs have beaten them this season.
They have. They don't. And who has the alien? Wemby. And number 1, if he's healthy. And number 2, the athleticism and toughness of the wing players on the Spurs is unbelievable. Yep. Like those guys are good. They're scary what they're going to be a year from now, but they could be a legitimate threat this year.
Yeah, you just wonder if they're early. Like we got the news this morning that Cade Cunningham's going to miss the rest of the regular season for the Pistons. Jeez. But the Pistons are another team where they kind of arrived on the scene last year, and just that debate, is it too early? Are they ready to take the leap? You don't really know until we get into some of these games, but that's a devastating injury for the Pistons. They've had a terrific regular season, and just yanking their best player out for the next month and a half, that could be absolutely monumental.
Well, and they're all Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
Without Cade Cunningham, they're another team.
Yeah.
With him, they're special. That's maybe even more of that's as remarkable a story to me as OKC is. To go from losing, what did they lose 2 years ago? Like
60 plus, almost 7. They were a nightmare.
It's 38 in a row or something like that, to Eastern Conference leading team. Really remarkable.
Portions of this hour of the Hangout brought to you by the High Product Marketing, official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Promotional products that bring the buzz. Check them out at highproductmarketing.com. We got Paul Sir, Marc, Majeau, Matt Iwanyk with you here on the Hangout. Lock Shop coming up at 11. We got today's Thursday, so 2 guys in a goal. EST Afternoons, Reed Wilkins show with Jay Milne. Also 6 o'clock, Oil Stream pre and post game shows. Tommy, Benny, and Gage, I believe it is. We'll get you set for the Oilers-Panthers game tonight. By the way, the Oilers have placed Leon Draisaitl, LTIR, recalled on emergency basis, Robbie Jarventi. So that's just a little bit of Oiler news. You brought up SGA. This question was brought up last week on our station. I would like your guys' thoughts. Is SGA already the best Canadian men's basketball player ever? Or is he still not? Where do you rank? Is he ahead of Steve Nash yet?
Personally have a hard time putting him ahead of Nash just because we're still in the middle of this. Ask me again in 3-4 years, I might change it. But to me, it's still Nash. I know we do this thing where if you don't win a championship, you stink. But I still think of what Steve Nash was able to do and what he meant to this current generation of NBA superstars. I still put Nash ahead of SGA, but again, ask me again in 2 or 3 years.
2-time MVP that should have been 3.
Yeah.
Got screwed.
Absolutely.
Yep. I agree with you, Marc. I think, is he, I'll splinter it a little bit. He's the best Canadian player in terms of how he plays and how effective he is. Is he the best all time? And I still have to go with Steve Nash because of his body of work. Mm-hmm. But what SGA can do is nobody else's, including Steve, has been able. It does. I mean, you're right now flirting with Jordan-esque. Like he's in that. He has to be in that conversation.
What does he have to do to pass Steve Nash for you to?
Stay healthy.
Yeah,
is it just to do this for 3 more years? Is it another ring? If he has 2 rings, does that put him as the all-time Canadian? Is it?
It just keep playing, because a year or 2 from now he'll have, if he continues playing healthy, he's going to be the best player ever. Like there's no doubt about it.
I think just continue on this track. I think he is right now, but you put together a nice run. If this OKC team's together for 5-6 years, and I think what's so fascinating about OKC is all their draft assets too. Like they can either draft better players or flip them for expiring contracts. We're always in a window of 3 months of a superstar demanding to be traded. So if you can keep their powder dry and maybe do one of those trades and acquire someone else to keep the machine going. I think also Shea is, I was going to say he's played on better teams than Nash, but those Phoenix teams were pretty good.
They were solid. There was that. Who got suspended?
Well, it was
Stoudemire got suspended
for stepping on the court, right?
For stepping on the court.
He was a couple steps past the line.
So, man, oh man, when you start going conspiracy theory, that was a bad one.
That one was.
Because against the Lakers, right?
I thought that was Spurs.
It was Spurs.
Spurs, okay.
It was Spurs, but it was like, no way. That was so
ludicrous. They should have won.
Yeah.
That could have been a year they won it all.
Yeah.
Rip City also, he has this just, Zach Edey, the most important player for Canada at the next Olympics. Need him to become his best self and be healthy.
Yep, that's fair.
100%.
A guy like that, how do you defend a guy like Zach, just with that sheer size, right?
Oh, and then he's got to be allowed to go.
Yeah. Well, but I think I would take it a step further. They just need a big guy because that's where they're weak. They need size and bulk in international basketball. It's not like the 11-year-old NBA rule of defensive 3 seconds, which is the most ludicrous rule in basketball. But they need a big guy to plug the middle up. If they have that, they've got all the other pieces to be as strong as anybody, including the Americans, anywhere, as long as they get the bigs looked after. And so, to Rip City, 100%. Zach, whatever that thing was, why he didn't play last year.
Memphis didn't want him. They wanted him because they just draft him, so they want him ready. It's the same. Andrew Wiggins wasn't allowed to go because Golden State said no. I don't trust those teams.
Shame on both of them.
Yeah,
for making.
They're trying to stop. They're scared. They're scared of Canada.
That's true.
They're scared of Canada.
That's true.
They want to do everything they can to help the Americans.
Yeah.
That's I understand them, but they're scared of Canada.
Yeah.
The next Olympics will be
it
will be fascinating. It was a bad winter for Canada in terms of what we expect. We are very good though in the summer right now. We have the women in the pool, the men on the track, but then add this high expectations. It's being done in LA, so there's going to be a lot more buzz around the basketball tournaments.
100%.
Maybe it's not a guarantee. Like if for a long time, it just was guaranteed the Americans were going to go win the gold.
No,
but I don't think this one's going to be a guarantee.
It is not a guarantee, and there are gaps in the American players. And I don't just leave it to just Canada. France will be very good again. Serbia will be very good again. The Americans are going to have to perform, and I'm not. They very well could, but the old guys are aged out now.
Yeah,
Durant's not going to be back. I'm not a believer that Ant can carry this team. Steph might be there, but he won't be the same Steph as he was in 2024 in Paris. So Canada is to be feared, and Canada has to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
The women's program is in a tough spot. They have really blown that at the high level on how that has been handled, in my opinion. Not qualifying for World Cup like this last weekend, that was brutal.
Yeah.
They had 4 WNBA players. They should have won. They should have been in the World Cup. But the men's side, all the guys are bought in. You've got great character guys like SGA and Jamal Murray leading the way, kind of like a la Kobe and Jason Kidd back when they did the Redeem Team thing. LeBron, they wanted to be there. They wanted to be part of bringing America back to the top of the heap in basketball.
It seems like right now we're at, and I know it goes in ebbs and flows, but it seems like we're peak national teams right now, coming off the Olympics, coming off the World Baseball Classic, which was, I don't know if you talked much about it. That was an awesome tournament.
It was great.
Fantastic.
So I think also guys, more than I've seen, or at least now that we've experienced it, I just think guys really love playing for their country now more than ever. I think for as much as I think we were all rooting for Canada to win gold in hockey, we saw what that did down south, right? Like Jack Hughes on Saturday Night Live screaming about getting a puck back that's not even his to begin with. But I feel like...
But also not calling him.
Yeah, that was the
That's
funny
what people are missing part of the article. Where
of
Jack Hughes says, I've wanted it back. I'm asking for it back, but I've never called the Hall of Fame to ask for it back, which is kind of maybe step one. It's like, I've tried nothing and I'm all out of answers.
I think maybe his agent would have made a call. But I think coming off that, you see what... I don't think these tournaments are bigger than like NBA championship, World Series, all that kind of stuff. But I think other sports are seeing what the Olympics and these tournaments can do. And I think guys really want to play for their country. It's a very unique experience that I just feel like we're had a kind of a fever pitch with all those things right now. So it's very cool to see.
It is cool to see. And I think that, having SGA and Jamal being as outspoken as they have been about wanting to wear the maple leaf is really cool. But the tournament last year in hockey, I forget the name of it.
The Four Nations?
Yeah, that was unbelievable. It took a toll, I know, on the players. But in terms of galvanizing nationalism, the U.S.-Canadian rivalry, that was unbelievable, carrying it into the Olympics. And now across all the team platforms like you're mentioning, Marc, that's exciting. Getting back to, I want to feel that pride of representing my nation.
And it gives us all something to be excited about. We love it. Like, imagine if the Canadian men go win the gold medal in 2 years at the
Wouldn't that be
at the
unbelievable?
LA Olympics. Do you know how much Canada's going to get behind that?
That
It'd be huge.
Yep.
There was a really good documentary this year about the miracle on ice. It was on Netflix, really put together, and that's a once in a lifetime moment.
That might be one of the most unthinkable moments in sport.
We'll never replicate that. But, watching the World Baseball Classic, that quarterfinal, Canada-USA, I was like, well, that might be maybe the closest we're going to get. But if Canada does even defeat USA in basketball in 2020, that could be huge. Like, that's front page. That is
coming off of the Olympics, men's especially losing. Like, that's the one.
Yeah.
The women also, but the men. If now also we're meeting them in basketball, there's going to be that extra little bit. We want to get them back.
Yep.
100%.
We want to get you back, and we're going to get it at that sport. We're going to get it at basketball. We want to take it out. If we take that one, we would act the same way the Americans kind of have acting with hockey.
100%.
We'd be like, it's our game now. We invented the game, and now we're taking the game back.
And we should. And I always say that. My God, Canada, you invented the game. You Canadian invented it. It's your game.
And
embrace it, take it, love
it'd be
it.
on such a great time too. Because I get this isn't. I don't know if I don't think that would be on the last day. I don't think they do the gold medal game on closing ceremonies day. But even
it's
if
the day before.
It is day before. But even if it is closing ceremonies day, closing ceremonies aren't till night.
Yeah.
So it'd be like noon our time or something.
Right. Yeah.
Canada's going to get behind that if we could get on a run like that, or if we meet them in the semis. We're going to be all in on that game.
You will have 30 million television sets in Canada on if that were to happen.
And this is then just back to the earlier point where it's like I know things are difficult and it would be hard for a government to put this out there, but committing the money to sport is probably worth it.
Yeah.
You might have to bite that bullet politically and go, this is going to be a tough selling point that we're committing 150 million or whatever it is to our sporting to get this going. And there's going to be a lot of people that don't care about sport that go, why are we doing this? But the thing you have to point to is, but when we have these big moments, one, it brings our country together, but then on the global stage, we could stand tall. Like one of the best sporting moments we'll ever have as a country, Donovan Bailey, fastest man in the world.
100%.
We got to say we have the fastest man in the world.
But Matt, why is this so hard? Who is opposing this? Because and I'm not saying there aren't great social causes. Do you ever see the movie Dave? With Kevin Kline.
Yeah.
Okay. Kevin Kline, the convoluted story is he is brought in to substitute for a very crooked president who has a health issue. And he gets in there and he's just this common sense social worker guy. But he sits down with a piece of paper and he starts drawing out where he could save money for this special housing program. And he goes, if we cut this much, why can't you do that? Heck. Go to CBC and say, we're taking $150 million and we're putting it into sports. Since you're not covering them, we're going to put it into sports. Like, you can't come up with that money off the gravy that certain programs have that aren't affecting the well-being and social status and health of your population for the reasons you just described. When we have those seminal moments, this country swells with pride. But then it seems to go back to, but we really don't want to pay for it again right now. I think that's a fair way to put it.
Yeah. And that's why we just have to, somebody just got to do it and say, screw it. And then when the moments are happening, going, this is why. Like, we didn't get mad when On the Podium was being paid for, and lots of, like Bianca Andreescu winning the U.S. Open.
Oh my gosh.
It's a great Canadian moment. And the world was talking about it, that there's this Canadian that's going on this run in Flushing Meadows. And she got it done. And we finally were able to say a Canadian won a single men's women's title.
Yeah. And you see, like, I remember after the Blue Jays run about a decade ago. Gosh, hard to believe that was a decade ago. The Jose Bautista
15.
bat flip, but
Yeah.
baseball registration numbers skyrocketed.
Yes.
After the Jose Bautista bat flip, and I imagine coming off the run the Blue Jays just had will
be
probably
more.
be the same again. So
Raptors in 2019.
Yeah, absolutely,
It
right?
exploded.
Yep.
Absolutely exploded.
The question you had about World Cup is Soccer Canada ready for the fact that we're going to have the World Cup here, and
Yeah.
hopefully the men's can go on a little bit of win a couple games. There's going to probably be a little bit more interest. Are you ready for that?
Yes.
Ready to go? Like,
Exactly.
you have to be in those
You have to be
situations.
ready.
So, yeah, it'd be nice to. Crusher was telling me this week that he read something. I need to get him to send me the article. There might be a change from playground to podium was what he heard.
I've heard that.
And that would be, I really hope that there's something there and that does come from.
Well, and for me, the sports development pyramid should be inverted. And it should be playground leading to the podium
Yes.
by engaging at youth levels more and giving them more opportunities that are affordable to get more kids participating and having fun so they can get down here. You get a greater concentration in mass as opposed to right now, who can pay to play
Yep.
to get the elite training and the elite experience. You're missing a lot of kids.
And those are the conversations that, or the thoughts that keep me up at night as a parent. My daughter is still only 2.5 years old, but those are the things
Do you
I'm
have her
already.
doing sprints yet?
She has me doing sprints, actually.
That's true.
Her idea of
That's
fun.
true.
Her idea of fun yesterday was
How are
running
your-
up and down the driveway. So.
How are your film sessions going?
Pretty good.
Okay.
She's entering the transfer portal already. But those are actual things that I do think about. Like when she is old enough to start playing sports, how serious, 'cause I don't want to be the lunatic parent that has her in 19 things going all the places, but sports are supposed to be fun. At the end of the day, right? All of us are in this room right now because we either watched or played sports because it was fun, right? And that's what I want to keep it. But you see some of these U12, U13 teams being run like pro teams. And it's a little
over the top.
Yeah, it's a little, you just want the kids to have fun. And those are the things that I think about that might not even be a problem in 8 years. She might not even want to play sports, but those are the things that kind of terrify me of what it's going to look like.
There was a good article this past week about Sport Edmonton and the Edmonton Federation of Community Leagues banding
Yes.
together to do more in the community. With my work with 3x3, we're going to be running a 3x3 community league tournament down at the Warehouse Park, and I don't have the Indigenous name, but we're going to run that May 30th, and it's going to be geared towards community leagues. And we're going to be trying to implement more programs specifically tailored to that. The great thing about 3x3 is its roots are based in kids just getting a basketball and playing 3-on-3 outside. That's supposed to be its roots. Now, that will get organized and anybody can rub two nickels together. We'll start making it clubs and all of that. And that's fine. But we want to get in early and get kids thinking they can play it more. Get it into the schools as an intramural sport. Make it fun. Make it a way that's non-threatening for sport as opposed to, but those are the kind of things that I think there certainly seems to be the desire for the pendulum to swing back towards the middle of more just play as opposed to everything structured and running from this practice to this practice to this practice in 3 different sports on the same night, playing in 3 different sports on the same weekend. The over-structuring is, the empirical evidence is that's not good to over-structure and burn kids out at young ages. So hopefully it'll get more back to that.
The madness has begun. Upset alert. TCU's up 8-5 on Ohio State. 9/8 early in this one.
Isn't
but
this great?
The madness.
Look at that.
The one thing I do miss is when they had the courts from the region they were in. They didn't go to the standard NCAA. When you got wherever this game's been played, whoever the host universities, we had their court. I do miss that. I wish they found a way to at least put something into their courts for it.
In this era of branding,
I know.
I mean, it's not.
I'm crazy.
No, you're.
In their minds, I'm completely
Are
crazy.
you a Seinfeld fan?
Yes.
Okay, the clown. You're living in the past, man. That was like in the 60s.
Do you know who that clown was, by the way?
Who?
It's Jon Favreau, who went on to direct Iron Man, The Mandalorian, and Grogu.
Seriously?
Yeah, he's become like a huge
Is that
Hollywood.
right?
He was the clown. He was Eric the Clown.
Eric.
Eric the Clown.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was Jon Favreau.
That's hilarious.
For March Madness, as you guys, would you rather play first thing in the morning or play at night? Like, is there an advantage, you think, if you're Ohio State or TCU?
It's a great question.
You want to get it out of the way early, or do you want to play when you're used to playing at night?
I wouldn't want to play late at night. I would want to play either late morning window or late afternoon or at the beginning of the evening window.
So you're a boutique competitor, right? So menu competitor. I'll take this.
Yeah.
If I had to choose, I don't think I'd want the first one.
First is tough. Morning
Yeah.
games, I always found as a player and as a coach, they're tough.
Yeah.
You're just not in your rhythms just aren't there. Late at night, I'd probably play late at night versus early morning myself, but they're neither are ideal.
Yeah, I called a Canada West playoff game this year for basketball, and just due to scheduling, it had to happen at, I think, 2 p.m. And we asked the player post-game, like, what's that like? He said, well, coach said we practice this time every single day anyways, so
Yeah.
it's no different than a practice.
Right.
I'm like, hey, I hadn't really thought about it that way.
Yeah, it's fair.
But you think about the last game tomorrow night. You're already amped up. You're sitting, you're waiting to
my
go.
God, yes.
Like, that would be similar to the Winter Olympics, right? Could you imagine if you got to compete the first day and then you just get to chill?
Yeah.
That's the 2 weeks, as opposed to other athletes that had to wait until day 10, 11 when you're just getting antsy and wanting to go. I think
Managing your emotions
Yeah.
would be so hard.
I think every athlete's different, but for me, I think I'm with Matt. I'd rather go later on day one, because this first one, I know it's out east, right? So it's
Can you imagine
new.
the adrenaline going through those guys' system
Yeah.
right now? Just
Yeah.
first one, it's early in the morning, you're out there running around.
Yeah.
So everybody's eyes are on you.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be tough.
I guess the part of it is maybe some of these schools they wouldn't have had to deal with as much, but at least you're coming off the conference championships
that's true,
last
yeah.
weekend, where it's a similar type feel. You're playing a lot of games over a short period of time in the same venue. That you've already started getting that feel a week prior. That helps a little bit. But yeah, it would suck being that last team tomorrow.
Yeah, you're just
everyone's those last two. Everyone's going. You're just waiting.
Yep.
Everyone's talking about this. I just want to get playing.
Yeah.
The tournament's underway. When do we get to play? When do we get our turn?
That's right.
Yeah.
But I love watching the late games though.
Yeah.
They are great.
Finishing the last of the night with like those and flipping between the two games as they're coming to an end or something, and you're following.
It's magic. It really is
Yeah.
magical. Like this whole, just the drama, the feel, you just feel the energy. And these kids, I mean, the high points, I mean, this is the dream. Yeah, if you go out and get shellacked, so what? You got there. You got just to be able to say in your life, you can tell your
That's
kids,
just it, right?
I did this.
No, that's it. There are guys, this is the biggest thing they're ever going to play in. And that's still an unbelievable, huge thing to play in. But this is it for a lot of those guys. If we were at our own homes right now, are you guys leaving it on one channel and letting them do the surfing for you? Or are you jumping to the American feed, to the other TSNs? Because I feel like the presentation has improved. I'm of the age where I still had to actually cut out the newspaper sometimes and see who was playing when. But what are you guys just set it and forget it? Or are you jumping back and forth?
I'm jumping to the best score generally.
The closest.
Like
Same here.
I want Duke on. I'm gonna watch Duke today. I just saw the other team is minus 50,000 to win, or they're minus 50,000 to win, or something like ridiculous advantage for them.
That's tremendous.
They get a nice lead, like against a 1 seed. I just don't want nicely at halftime. I could flip away. I know I don't need to watch this anymore. I don't want them to be a 1 seed going down to a 16, which just never hear the end of it. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, it's like, okay, well, I will, like, I think TSN does do a good job of jumping around, but it's, if I know there's a close game or something, like that's maybe the other thing is I want to watch the end of a game as we get through the day. I could come back to you. This game's in its final 3 minutes. I'm flipping to this game, and then I'm going to go to this game, and then this game.
Yeah. I like the last 10. I like, but like you, I like flipping around.
Yeah.
Are you concerned at all about Duke's health?
Yes. There's a couple of injuries that were announced last week.
Yeah.
But they are only a 2-loss team this year. One of their losses was to North Carolina. I did watch it, and they blew a huge lead going into the second half. So they should have won that game.
Yep.
They go and win the tournament, had a close call. Was it Florida State they had a close call against last week?
Yes.
It was Florida State. So they have the talent that they should hopefully be able to overcome that, but it's one game, and it's Duke. People are always going to bring your best because you're Duke.
Always,
Absolutely.
yep.
Like you're gonna, and that the bracket that they are in, you've got St. John's with Patino, you've got UConn with Hurley, you got Michigan State with Izzo, and you got Kansas with Bill Self.
That's unbelievable.
Like that bracket
That's
is
ridiculous.
they loaded up that bracket for some reason.
That-
I thought the Dukes were number 1 seed. We're supposed to get it easier.
No, the East is the best by far.
Yeah.
Okay, who's your number 1 draft pick?
Oh, I don't know that well enough. I'd have to ask you.
Okay,
There's the player from BYU, right?
yeah, DeBonsa.
Yeah, is he still kind of on track? I also heard there's something about a guy that was pulling himself out of games because he was getting too tired.
Peterson.
Yeah.
Peterson from Kansas. Yeah, those along with Boozer from Duke.
Yeah.
Those are the top. Have been the top talk of the town. Top 3. There's an Arkansas kid who might get into the top 3. Who's really, really good. I'd look at him. Peterson. Yeah, he's been. There. You talk about NIL. And you talk about the modern athlete. Peterson has taken himself out of many games, has not played in some games, and it's in his contract that he can do that. So
How does Bill Self allow that?
to get him
Yeah, but
for here, I agree.
And
it's driving
Bill
him.
Self.
I know it's Bill Self, but it shows the food chain of how this has shifted on its head, a la the NBA, where coaches most of the time are sub species to the star players.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. DeBonsa's really good.
Yeah.
All 3 are really good. But what makes this draft so unique is there's probably 15 other players. And we've really never seen a draft like this, especially with young freshmen, where you're going to see potentially 10 to 20 players that will go and mean a lot to their team. Maybe not what Cooper Flagg and Kneppel mean to their teams, but more like what Harper means to San Antonio and VJ Adjacombe means to Philadelphia. They're going to come in and play big minutes next year and be impact players.
Well, the NBA this year, there's about 20 teams battling for playoff spots and then just 10 teams that are tanking.
Shamelessly pretending like they're trying to pretend like they're not.
Just like I don't know what Washington's doing right now. They're just, I think you and I are going to go play 5 minutes for Washington.
Washington Generals, yes.
Yeah.
We're playing the Globetrotters this week.
It seems like that. So the draft this is usually when my NBA draft stuff kind of really starts to skyrocket during the tournament. But yeah, it's going to be, those are the few names that I've kind of heard. And only hearing about a guy for subbing himself out of games.
It's not a good look.
Yeah, maybe not the best look.
But you know what's interesting about that? I heard Sam Mitchell, the ex-Raptors coach of the year, who does a lot of analysis for TSN. He does a radio show every Saturday morning. I was listening to him talk about Peterson from Kansas and, asked, like, would you be concerned? And he said no, because you have to understand this kid has been playing since junior high at the most elite level with the most pressure put on him. He's trying to keep his mental and physical health at the forefront as he gets ready for the NBA. Now, on one hand, you can say that, so he said he would not hesitate to draft him. He's a high character kid. And this is more management in a world where you think you're still applying old school values of it's for the team, it's for the school, rah, rah, where in fact, he's a professional athlete getting paid millions of dollars this year, getting ready to make many, many more millions going forward. Therefore, he's managing himself.
So he's practicing load management before he gets to the NBA and can do load management in the NBA.
It sucks. Like load management is the worst thing in the world.
He'll fit right in on the NBA.
Oh, yeah. He'll be perfect.
It's awful for many reasons. I get it, but it also makes going to games so tricky. Like I know Dustin went to Los Angeles, didn't get to see LeBron play. I got to see OKC play last year, but Shea wasn't playing because it was on the second of back-to-backs. So it's hard. And I also recall a time I was in New York. I wasn't planning on going to this game, but the Warriors were in town and we were around MSG the night of the game, and you see hundreds of kids in Curry jerseys, but he wasn't playing. And like, how do you already fork out $800 for these tickets to not see the guy you want to see?
Will Chamberlain, I'll do the old man thing. I forget how many, I think all but 2 seasons, John Stockton, who played, I think, like 17, he played 82 games. Will Chamberlain and Chuck Taylor's played 82 games. One year he averaged 48.5 minutes a game.
And flying commercial, too.
Commercial at 7-2. So, I mean, now, you say that. The league's different now. The athletes are different. Like they're very real things that are taking place, like in terms of speed of play. The athleticism is both a blessing and a curse. You're jumping higher, you're coming down harder, and the chance of injury goes through the roof because of the athleticism. So there's lots of factors here. But load management shouldn't be a factor for the one reason you just described. This is a consumer-driven league, and you spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars taking your kids to a game, and you show up and they're just a little tired. They're sitting out tonight. That's not appropriate.
So Steve Kerr mentioned, was 2 weeks ago, basically saying, yeah, we should shorten the season.
Yeah.
Do you ever think we'll get to professional leagues shortening their seasons?
The only way it'll ever happen is if they take the soccer model, which is we're going to shorten the regular season to 62 games or whatever. We're going to counter that by we're going to take the NBA Cup, and it's no longer going to be regular season games. It's going to be its own competition with its own games. Mm-hmm. And you could load manage in that one if you want. That's the game we're going to do. Where if you're a middle team, a non-playoff team, you might be like, hey, maybe we can go win this. We can go win something this year, be competitive. If you're a team that is the Spurs, the Thunder this year, the Pistons, the Celtics, you might sit there and be like, we don't care.
Yep.
Where our stars are going to play 62 regular season games. These cup games, they're going to sit out. That would be the only way where you find a way to give them still some of those home dates that they're going to lose the owners. Yeah. You get a new TV deal done because you could do that. Balances the money in a little bit. But if you're not doing that, the question will always be the owners is you just took away 10 gates.
Yeah.
How am I replacing that?
100%. And it's valid, but what Kerr's suggestion makes sense, and what you just suggested makes more sense than what they presently have, for sure. The NBA, I don't know how you guys feel about the NBA Cup if you pay much attention to it.
He does, I think.
It's
a Knicks champs.
Well, the Knicks are
We didn't ask her, how's that?
Well, what happened after?
But it's annoying. Like, to me, it's an annoyance because it's like this game doesn't count, but this one does. Yeah. It's like, to me, it's an unnecessary injection to try to create some hype. You've got those hideous courts that are just, you feel like you have to go to an optometrist the next day after you watch a game. But like, I agree, make it a special event.
Yeah.
Give the players some rest and give teams some options. Maybe you do that at the beginning of the season. I don't know, but it's not sustainable now, especially when you see, I think you have to listen to this and say, it's not because the players are weak-minded. Maybe some are, but that was always the case. I think everybody wants to play, but if physically the injuries to star athletes are, affecting the product that you're putting on the court, you do have to address it somehow. Yep. And it might not be through better training, better nutrition. Maybe that's part of the solution, but it might be it's too much on the bodies.
But to Matt's point as well, like once revenues hit a certain point, people don't like going back down.
Nope.
Once you're saying I'm going to make this amount of money, how are we going to make that up? Like
the solution will always have to be, how do we make more? How could someone create a solution to say we're going to eliminate games, but we're going to make you more money?
Yeah,
then the owners will be like, you've got my attention.
Here's my picture of the NBA. Adam Silver on a surfboard in front of a huge tidal wave going, how can I stay in front of this by making more money? Let's go here. Let's go there. Let's expand to Europe. Let's get deeper into China. However, they just keep looking for new ways to diffuse the product down further and further, and it oftentimes feels like they're assaulting the integrity of the game and the watchability of it. Having said that, I still love watching it.
Of course.
So,
yep.
No, I hate FIFA. I still love watching soccer. In
Yeah.
general. I hate the IOC miserably, but I love the Olympics. There's just those.
In spite of them.
The Premier League schedule is maybe my favorite, man. You have 38 games?
You're playing 38, one home, one away against every team.
That's it. It's simple. And you have these breaks scheduled.
Yeah. And it's broken up where you play everyone once, and then it's reversed.
Yeah.
But what you're describing right now is European sensibilities
Yes.
over North American wide open, frantic capitalism as the motivator for your sport. They want to go to 19 games in the NFL. It's like, when is enough enough? The answer is, in North America, never.
Never.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there are things, like, I'm not saying make these sports soccer, but what they do over there has been done for so long, and it works.
It works.
There's ways that it works, and there's conversation. Like, if Arsenal's having a great season right now, if they rested a player on a Wednesday, no one's shocked, because it's, well, they got a game on a Saturday and they got a game on a Sunday, and this is a different competition. Like, there are those moments where the stars don't play, and it's like you're expecting that at times. Like, they need to change their starting 11. They need to have rotations. They need to have change. Whereas here, we get upset in the NBA. It's load management. Other leagues don't even do it. And then the players are wearing down, and it's like, well, how do we balance this then?
Exactly.
The NBA, NFL will go to 18.
Yes.
I do stand by that. It's starting. It's already starting. I do believe the NFL one day is going to play every day of the week. They're going to play Sunday through Saturday.
Of course.
There's going to be a Wednesday season opener this year coming up. I think they're playing another Wednesday throughout the season. So they're going to have to play a Wednesday or Thursday this year. Amazon Friday. They'll be playing Saturdays, and they have Sundays and Mondays. So the only day that doesn't have a schedule right now is a Tuesday.
And Christmas, right? Regardless of what day of the week Christmas falls on.
Yep.
They're going to have games.
Yep.
So shout out to those teams that have to play probably Sunday afternoon and then Wednesday afternoon for Christmas, right? I have to hijack this quickly. I want to talk about a Premier League question.
Go for it.
Are Tottenham dropping this year?
Well, the big game this weekend. It's Tottenham, Nottingham Forest.
That's huge. That's what, 18 and 19 or 17
Yeah, they're
18?
both just above. So Nottingham, West Ham are tied with points. Tottenham's up by 1. So if Nottingham wins that, all West Ham has to do is go snag a win this weekend. Tottenham's sitting in relegation.
And West Ham's been good this calendar year.
Yes.
Like in 26, they've been good.
I'm going to say it's not going to happen because I want it too much.
That's fair.
But they have been playing so poorly. It's also hard to see them finding another win.
The chaos of Tottenham dropping to the championship would be unbelievable to see.
I don't even know how to explain it to people.
The amount of money that gets pumped into that team, into that stadium, into that fan base to then drop would be pretty fun to watch. So that's the relegation battles, almost as exciting as what's happening at the top of the table.
I guess one way I could maybe try to explain it is Vancouver was pretty good in hockey a couple years ago. They were strong. Never won anything, but they were a very good team. And now that they're bottom of the NHL, they're getting set to be relegated to the American Hockey League. And that's what's happening with Tottenham. They're one of the top big 6 that we always refer to. Yeah. They had the money, and they're this close to being dropped out of the top league in England. And I want it so bad. Just give it to me.
It'd be chaos to watch, yes. I'll be
Eric also asked if you think Leeds will survive the drop.
Hope so. Like it's funny, like a month ago, we're looking pretty good. I think we're up by 9 points, had a 11 goal differential. We were swinging, then little getting tight down the stretch. So I hope so. Wolves are certainly going to drop. Burnley's a lock to drop.
Yeah, those two are done.
It's just that final. So it's West Ham, Forest, Tottenham, and Leeds. One of those 4. So
Leeds should be good.
The goal differential's helping them out right now because Tottenham is just dreadful. Or no, Forest is dreadful in the goal differential. So.
Yeah, Tottenham's safe in terms of, I think, goal differential. That if they tie either of those two, they're pretty good. But man, it'd be an absolutely incredible story. Yeah. The official drink of the EST Hangout is Dillon Small Batch Distilleries. Simply pour and garnish with Canada's #1 canned cocktail, made the right way, crafted with their own handmade spirits. Find them at your local liquor store. Okay, in the tournament, are there some Canadians we should be watching out for?
There's 3 Edmontonians.
Oh, wow.
Or 2 Edmontonians, and one's not playing. He's a red shirt. Onyx Nani. He's with South Florida.
Okay.
6'9", was Pennsylvania Prep Player of the Year a year ago. Went to South Florida, coaching change. They decided to redshirt, which is good for him. Then Mario Akantuak, he's with Texas Tech. He plays a bit, averages 1.3 points per game. And then there's a Calgarian, J.C. Brooks. He plays for Tennessee State. They're 16th seed. But we have 3 Albertans in.
Very cool.
It is cool. The best Canadians are Aiden Holloway from Alabama, 16.8. He'll be a NBA guy this year. Manuel Sharp from Houston, 15.3 points per game. Older player, I don't think he'll get drafted, but he's undersized guard, really good. Maybe he'll get NBA looks. Elijah Mahi for Santa Clara. I look at Santa Clara. I think they could be an upset in the first round as well.
That's where Steve Nash went, right? Was he Santa Clara?
Santa Clara. And then Xavier Lee from Florida. He's really good. 11.5 points a game. He's very, very good. And then on the women's side, there's a lot of Canadian women's. There's 150 women playing Division I from Canada.
Wow. Really?
168 men in Division I. But it's Shyla Sword from Michigan.
There we go.
Now,
Go Blue.
Now, I was thinking of you last week as I was in Iowa, sitting there with my 92-year-old mom, watching Iowa play Michigan and seeing the Hawkeyes triumph on the women's side. Thought of Marc. I thought, geez, I wish Marc was here. I could tease him right now. But and then Iowa got beat by 51 by UCLA the next day in the championship game. So,
is this UConn's year on the women's side finally to bring it back?
Back to back? Because they won it last year.
Oh, I forgot that they won it last year because it'd been a long time.
Yeah.
This was.
They're the heavy favorite, the undefeated. I picked UCLA long shot, but Big Ten, you call it that. But I just weird. UCLA was there a year ago. Maybe they can get it done this year. But UConn's not really been tested this year. That's their only weakness is that they were so much better than everybody that maybe if they get in a tighter game, maybe they'll tighten up a little bit. That's the only hope for anybody, UCLA or anybody, to beat them because they're that good.
All brackets are locked. Who's your guys' Final Fours?
Ooh, I know Paul has his in front. I got to pull it up.
Because I have a boring one. I've got Duke, I've got Florida, I have Michigan, and I have Purdue. So I have 3 1s and a 2 making it through.
So you have Purdue beating Arizona. Interesting.
I have Arkansas beating Arizona.
Okay.
I sometimes I look at coaches in these tournaments, and at John Calipari, year 2 at Arkansas, or is it year 3? I can't remember. And Arizona, and now look, Sean Miller, I know is at Texas now, but I've bet on Arizona so many times in these tournaments for years, and they always let me down.
They do.
And I just can't trust Arizona.
Yeah.
And I know Sean Miller's not there anymore. I'm still not trusting Arizona. And I just don't think we're going to have back-to-back number 1s go all the way. I think Florida's really good. Duke, I think they're really good. I think Michigan's really good. That I think a John Calipari maybe catches in Arizona.
Good.
And then I have Purdue going.
So
that's my final four. With Duke beating Michigan in the final.
Yep.
Shout out to our mutual friend Scott McCord for organizing yet another fantastic March Madness pool as I just log in right now. I know I have Michigan going all the way.
Oh, gee.
I know it was.
That's a
I was not
stretch.
picking with my heart on that one.
No.
What's your 4, Paul?
I have Arizona. Make sure I've got this right.
I like the old school print and writing it down.
Yeah.
I love it.
Sister Eileen would be proud. I have Duke.
Yeah.
And Houston. I have Houston beating Florida.
Which was the championship last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've got Arizona and Michigan. I think Tommy Lloyd at Arizona is postured. I love their old school style of play. I think it's conducive to the NCAAs. Bigs on the inside that are vicious and monstrous and good guards. So I think they have something that could take them forward. Sorry, my phone.
No worries.
Someone's calling because they disagree with his bracket.
Well,
they heard it and hasn't.
I have the exact same Final Four. I have Duke, Houston, Arizona, Michigan. The final, Houston loses to Michigan. That's my Final Four.
Okay, and I've got Arizona beating Houston. Again, now this could
That'd be a fun one.
That would be a good one. I really appreciate Kelvin Sampson. I know he has some, dark clouds in the past, but I appreciate his unrepentant old school mindset and the way he verbalizes. He shreds AAU basketball down in the States. Shreds it. Says it's the worst thing in the world. He talks about recruiting, that how they turn kids away if they're not tough enough to handle what they're going to have to put up with in Houston. Like, it is unrepentant old school. And the fact that they were there last year, and I think they're pretty good. I think Florida's kind of a flaky team, the way they got run off the court by St. John's in the conference finals. I don't completely buy them. I think Duke, I'm concerned about their injuries. And in that bracket, I can see Duke getting knocked out because the bracket's so tough.
It is a tough one.
If they were healthy, they would be my clear-cut favorite, even in that bracket, because I just admire Boozer so much. To me, he's player of the year. Arizona, I just kind of like. Purdue, though, they're big. They got the big Australian kid who's just he can bang with them. So it'll be, I think, top 8. And Michigan's very good. Michigan's very good, and they have the capability. I don't know. There's just something when I watch them, and I go, there's just still something about them that kind of bugs me, that I just say, I just don't know if that they're quite good enough to get to that final hill.
You'd mentioned Boozer, and it just happens more and more. Paul, you've been watching sports for a long time, but Matt, guys we grew up watching, now that their kids are playing and getting drafted, I'm more aware of how fast time goes now, and just when you see it, it's terrifying.
JJ Redick was one of the first Duke players I fell in love with. Now he's the coach of my NBA team. You know, it's just...
You can't make that
so
up.
quick.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's just his whole career played, and he played a long NBA career.
Yep.
And now he's in coaching this team in his second year of it, and it's just like, and then the kids part of all this. It's just
wild.
I think he's doing a pretty good job in LA too this year. Like those are choppy waters to navigate with LeBron at the stage he's at, trying to find how you get Luka and Reeves to be.
Well, they're on a nice little run right now.
They are.
LeBron got 30 last night, right? Or recently. He had a really good game last night.
The guy's unbelievable.
Well, they went and beat your Knicks recently.
Yep.
They just beat the Rockets back-to-back.
Yep.
In between there was Minnesota. They beat Chicago, and they beat the Nuggets. I guess actually a nice little run. They might be heating up.
Run.
Yes, they might be heating up at the right time. They haven't really been all together healthy too much this season.
And Ayton seems to actually indicate that he might care a little bit. That's a very qualified compliment to him, but that's the biggest one I could ever give him. He's starting to play like it matters a bit.
And it only took 8 years?
That's all. That's all. He's Arizona again, so
Big Maple saying, on the day Dusty reveals he didn't get an invite for the McCord pool. Here's how McCord's pool works. If you did it, like you get invited. If you were in it one year, you just get the auto invite.
Yeah.
So I don't think Dusty did it last year, which means I don't think he gets the invite this year. There's no like specific thing here. Yeah. I think you'd have to ask then. And did Dusty ask Scotty? I don't think he would have. But if you do it one year, you immediately get the email saying it's back open.
It's always one of my favorite emails to get. That email and my fantasy baseball are like my two favorite. The league has been auto-renewed. Time to go in.
We just got a few more minutes here on the Hangout. What's coming up? I want to 3x3. You were talking about the community league. Anything else going on?
We're running an event on April 25th for junior high and high schools.
Sweet.
We were going to do it on the 11th, but the school that we had it scheduled in had something come up that their gyms weren't available. So we're finalizing today and tomorrow where it will be held. But what we're trying to do is find a way to get 3x3 into schools for reasons I described earlier. We have the Community League event on, I think it's Saturday, May 30th, if that's the right date, down at the Warehouse Park. We're in discussions for adult men's and women's leagues for 3x3. We still hope it's 11:59. We're still hoping we have our major event this year again. Mm-hmm. If we have it, it will be back down at the fan park under the big tent. It will be the women's series only. The cost, you speak of hating FIFA. I don't hate FIBA 3x3, but this year they raised their fees and they went to the euro instead of the US dollar. Automatically higher fees at a even less advantageous have made it prohibitive to run the men's World Tour event. But our great partners, at the province, city, Explore, we're trying to work it out so we can still host. If we can't, we'll take a year breather and we'll reorganize and do more in the community and bring it back next year because we want to support, the Canadian women in particular because they, have a real good shot at making some noise again at the LA Olympics. So got that going on, and then a number of other smaller projects for curriculum and coaching development, that sort of thing. So thank you for asking. Of
course.
So, yeah.
MCTV pod. Anything else you want to also?
Yeah.
We just wrapped up Oscar chat. It's fun doing a podcast with a co-host who has watched 0 Oscar-nominated movies. Corey's the first one to poke fun at himself for that. But we have a new Marvel series next week. Daredevil Born Again Season 2 starts next week. We just had a new trailer for Spider-Man Brand New Day, so it dropped like right after we recorded, so we'll have to chat about that next week. But we've survived the dark winter months. Spring and summer is movie season, and there's some
a lot this year. There's a lot of really good ones coming out this year.
Yeah, we got a Star Wars movie back in May. We have Spider-Man in July. We have Avengers movie in December. Avengers and Dune 3 are coming out on the same day, which is going to be...
Wow.
My butt is going to be in a theater chair for 6 hours on December 18th. So it's nice having weekly stuff. And we're not just superhero stuff. Like, I don't know if anyone's watched the show Shrinking on Apple TV+. That's one of our favorites right now. So yeah, just the world of pop culture never really stops going, which is fun. So
The Odyssey's coming out.
yeah, that's another one.
A new Spielberg is coming
Disclosure
out.
Day. There is speculation that Disclosure Day is a sneaky sequel to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And Close Encounters is one of my favorite movies. So he might be going back to the well. The fact that Steven Spielberg is still cranking out movies at his age and John Williams is still writing music at his age as well is just absolutely spectacular.
Well, I was at the Star Wars opening day back in
77?
absolutely. Wow. And same with Close Encounters.
Yep.
Yeah. But
Good times.
yeah. Oh, one of the advantages of being old is you can say, I saw Wilt play Bill Russell. I was at the Star Wars premiere. Those are badges of honor.
I'll get to say I saw Lord of the Rings in theater when it came out.
That's
That'll be the
same
one
here.
for when I'm older. I'll be able to be that one.
We went with we took our 4 sons. We were living in Minneapolis at the time. Went to Edina, went to the theater. It was magical.
Yeah.
One of the great movie nights I've experienced. Certainly my kids experienced.
Well, that's back when people actually had manners in movie theaters and weren't on their phones and talking the entire time. So a lot has changed.
EdmontonSportsTalk.com, Friends of EST. You could click on the link to find the MCTV on the platforms. It also airs on our audio stream Mondays at 6 as well. So great. And Dusty's #1 favorite podcast there is. We
appreciate
Nothing on EST. It's straight up. It's the MCTV podcast. Where were we recently? I heard a lot of nasties talking about that they really enjoy the MCTV and stuff.
It's very cool.
Great.
It's going to be a fun year.
We had a lot of fun, yeah.
Gents, thank you for coming. Actually, before we go, I got to get to over-under for Play Alberta. Download the app, visit playalberta.ca. Between today and tomorrow, if I set an over-under, 4.5 upsets. Taking the over-under.
I'm going under.
I'll always take the over. I don't want to root for unders. I'll always go over.
I'll take the. I'll take 9 over 8's an upset.
Canadian of you.
Yes.
Paul, Marc, this is awesome.
Always
this is a
fun.
fun one.
Thank
I'm
you.
putting this up for an Esty for one of the hangouts of the year.
appreciate it.
Stuff.
Thank
you guys
you.
are fantastic. So thank you very much.
Great fun.
Thank you to everyone for tuning into the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton Sports. We got Lock Shop. We got Two Guys. We got EST Afternoons. We got Wilkins Show. We got GCL Diesel Ulster pre and post game shows. That's all to come here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton Sports presented by Play Alberta. On behalf of Paul, Marc, I'm Matt. Again, thanks for tuning in. Lock Shop with Dusty and us coming up in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Let's go. There you go, right in front of the camera.
First-time guest, long-time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Zola with here. Joining us today.